Hi, I'm Rudy Seitz, and I asked myself if I'm going to make a video today, what is the most helpful tip, piece of advice, message I could give anyone? Meditation has been the most helpful thing I've learned how to do in my life. So I thought, why don't I give my best tip for how to meditate? This is about how to overcome the frustration of meditation, because we all know meditation can be bad. It can be frustrating. It can be a horrible experience. That's because when we meditate, we're subjecting ourselves to failure, continuing failure. We're trying to clear our minds and attain calm, but our minds are constantly interrupting us with noisy thoughts, and the calm that we're seeking doesn't arrive. We grow increasingly upset and frustrated, and we conclude, meditation is not for us. The tip I want to share is a very simple idea. Next time you try meditating in whatever format or practice you follow, when your mind wanders, when you're interrupted by a thought, say to yourself, aren't I lucky? Now, the fact that your mind wandered is not a lucky thing, but I'm not asking you to lie or put on a show and convince yourself that something that isn't particularly lucky actually is very lucky and amazing. I'm asking you to see the lucky side, the lucky aspect of what happened when your mind wandered. If you realize that your mind wandered, then two things must have happened. First, your mind wandered, and second, you noticed it at some point in time. It wasn't a problem for you until you noticed it. If you hadn't noticed it, if you hadn't said to yourself all of a sudden, wait a minute, I'm thinking about my upcoming dentist appointment. I'm thinking about taxes while I'm trying to keep my attention on my breath. If that epiphany, that realization had never happened, you would still be thinking about your taxes. You would still be thinking about your upcoming dentist appointment, and all of your attention would be consumed with that thought process. And you wouldn't be frustrated that your mind was wandering because you wouldn't even know it. It's only when you notice that your mind has wandered while you were trying to keep your attention on your chosen point of focus, like your breathing or like a mantra or like an object that you're gazing at. It's only then that you can experience the frustration of having failed at maintaining your concentration. Now, a typical approach to addressing the frustration of meditation is to adopt an impartial, non-judgmental attitude towards whatever happens during your meditation session. So when your mind wanders, instead of saying, oh, that's such a shame, that's so bad, you say, that's just something that happened. That's part of the game. It's not good, it's not bad. I can accept it and return my attention to my chosen point of focus. The challenge is that impartiality can be difficult to cultivate, and it can be deceptive. What can happen is that your mind wanders, you feel upset about it, and then you tell yourself, I'm not supposed to be upset about it. I'm supposed to be impartial. And then you tell yourself, it's fine. It's no big deal. Not that there's anything wrong with that. My mind wandered, not that that's such a bad thing. I'm asking you to try something different. Instead of assuming an impartial attitude towards the fact that your mind wandered, I'm asking you to take a partial attitude. I'm asking you to be partial towards the good aspect of this occurrence, which is the fact that you noticed that your mind wandered, and that by noticing it, you are enabled to return your attention to your breathing or other chosen point of focus. Again, if you hadn't noticed it, your mind would still be wandering. You're lucky that you noticed, because noticing it gives you an opportunity to escape the wandering and continue with your practice. Now, you might say, well, what's so lucky about that? It happens all the time. My mind wanders, I notice it. My mind wanders, I notice it. But my mind is still wandering, and this noticing that the mind is wandering isn't such a rare thing. Why do I have to feel like it's anything good or anything special? Well, the fact that you can notice your mind wandering and that this noticing can happen quite often, the frequency of it, the often-ness of it, the commonness of it doesn't mean that it's not lucky. It doesn't mean that it's not fortunate. And to understand this, I would ask you to try a little thought experiment here. I have a picture of a Chihuahua. And when I look at this Chihuahua, let me try to give you the view of me looking at the Chihuahua. I think it's just totally adorable. And I think, what a cute Chihuahua. And I can get lost in like the pointiness of the ears and the whiskers and like these big eyes and the soft fur, and I just want to pat the head of this cute Chihuahua. Why don't I die from that? Why don't I just keep staring at that Chihuahua and eventually get dehydrated, but continue staring at the Chihuahua, and then eventually starve to death? I'm serious. Why doesn't that happen? Well, it doesn't happen because I'm lucky enough that my mind at some point will interrupt my focus, and I will realize that I'm still looking at the Chihuahua while other things in life are needing my attention. So it's this ability that we have to jump out of a particular point of focus, a particular line of thinking, and recall the larger context in which we're pursuing that line of thinking or focusing on that particular thing. It's this ability to jump up a level and see the bigger picture that saves us from death by Chihuahua, death by singing bowl, death by coffee grinder. And I'm serious about it. It's real. We're lucky that we have this ability. And the fact that this ability manifests itself quite often doesn't mean that it's not lucky, doesn't mean that it's not fortunate. Because when you think about it, this is not an ability that we are consciously controlling, right? So if I'm meditating and then I start thinking about a chihuahua, for example, when I notice that I'm thinking about that chihuahua as opposed to concentrating on my breath, I didn't make myself notice that. I didn't plan to notice that. If I had said to myself, I should now notice that I'm not doing what I was intending to do, or that my focus has strayed to something other than where I intended to place it, that would have required me to have already noticed that my focus had strayed. So this epiphany, this act of noticing, is not something that we are consciously controlling. From our standpoint, it's something that happened to us. We suddenly realized that our focus was other than where we intended to place it. Anytime that happens, no matter how infrequently or frequently it happens, we're lucky, because it gives us the opportunity to redirect our focus and return it to where we intended for it to be. What I'm asking you to do is to embrace this luck and to appreciate this luck every time you receive it. So that when you're meditating, instead of experiencing the act of meditation as a series of failures, where you're trying to meditate, then you get interrupted by a wandering mind, you try again, and you get interrupted again, you try again, and you get interrupted again. I'm asking you to experience meditation as a series of fortunate events in which you experience a natural, inevitable interruption, and then you receive the luck of noticing that you've been interrupted and being given the opportunity to redirect your focus. This happens a second time, and again you experience the luck of a new opportunity to return your focus to your breathing. It happens a third time, and again you eventually experience the luck of yet another opportunity to return to your point of focus. So that by the end of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, however long your session happens to be, you've experienced an overwhelming amount of good fortune. You've experienced a large number of lucky events. You've received a large number of opportunities to continue doing the thing that you set out to do. And so when you're done, instead of feeling frustrated and upset that meditation is so hard, you can feel a sense of lightness, as though, wow, I really got lucky. I really experienced a lot of good fortune just in the span of 5 minutes. I've done this myself, and I know that it has been life-changing for me. So I'm 100% sure that there's someone out there for whom this idea will be life-changing as well. Maybe it'll be you.